Hello, welcome to my review of the Japanese PC-FX game Minimum Nanonic. This is a game that I got to play back when it was new in around 1997-1998, and it was at the time a game that I really did not appreciate because similarly to now, my Japanese was bad. At the time it was much worse than it is currently, and I was not able to understand anything that happens in this game, and thus unfortunately I didn't try to play it very much. And that's too bad, because this actually is fairly simple and straightforward. It's what I would call a digital comic, almost a kinetic novel, but it really doesn't have as much reading as something I would call a kinetic novel does. It's pretty much strictly dialogue, which is why I think the term digital comic is very appropriate for this. So the story here, as you can see, starts when this sort of crazy mad scientist guy is working on this experiment in his home, and things, yeah, I guess either go awry or go very successfully, depending on what his intentions were. But there is an overroad that happens, and this wakes up his three daughters here. So this is one of the daughters. She's like, what? It's like, oh, it's Dad again. It's like, what's he doing? I'm gonna go back to bed. So this girl is Tsubasa, I guess the third daughter. So she's like, darn it, that father of mine. And this is Nozomi, and she just like mumbles in her sleep. So here we can see the word prince show up on this computer screen, and then all heck breaks loose here. So the interesting thing here is this energy that's flying around the house is actually animating objects, and you can see that this object gets animated here. This is actually the character that you play as. It's one of the girl's stuffed animals named Michael. So one of the cool things about this game, which I was able to appreciate long ago, is the opening animation here. You can see the style is very 1990s. And this is a pretty awesome opening theme. It seems to be well liked by everybody who knows and has played this game. The animation was all done by Studio OX, which I believe was also responsible for other 90s anime like Jaja Uma Quartet, which was also known as Wild Cards here, and Idol Project, things like that. So you can see here this has this very kind of 90s animation style to it, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a little nostalgic for me playing this game again. Unfortunately, back in the day, I hadn't gotten very far in this, and I didn't realize quite how linear the game was. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten a little farther. But it's a bummer not being able to understand the story, and since there's really so much of it, there's so much dialogue, things like that. It's in terms of the content of the story, if you've ever seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you've got a pretty good idea of the basis for this video game. And it's a Japanese version, an anime version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's a very apt description of Minimum Nanonic. So here we have push run button. So we'll go ahead and do that. And what you can see here, this is Nozomi kind of hamming it up for some bugs, trying to get them to allow the three sisters here to ride on them. So in addition to things coming to life. You have Michael here was animated, various furniture and things like that came to life. Oh, and here we have a 3-choice segment, so we can choose to thank the bugs, not, or just hurry up. So we're going to choose to thank the bugs. And from what I can tell, despite the fact that you can choose different options, it seems like this game is 100% linear. So even back when I knew Zero Japanese, I probably could have progressed through this entire game just by randomly picking stuff. But in addition to this stuff and the girls being shrunk down, the girls keep running into these different enemies over and over. So it's kind of funny. So here they're like, oh, it's flooded. It's like, oh, great time for the pump to break. It's like, oh, what's that? It's like, look over there. There's bubbles. It's like, oh, I wonder what that is. It's like, well, yeah. What do you bet that like something's gonna come out again? I get 500 points if it splits the water and comes out. She's like, oh, I get 1,000 points if it like comes out of a whirlpool. She's like, alright, well, I get 1024 points if it comes out of a waterfall. She's like, what's with the 24 points? And then she's like, yeah, and where do you even see a waterfall? So there's some interesting little jokes in there. I wonder if the 1024 didn't have to do with bytes in a meg or screen resolution or who knows what. So you get these nice animated sequences here every now and then. You can see that this character has shown up. And there's quite a bit of animation in this, and the voice acting is quite good. I really think they did a good job with that. So here she's introducing herself. She's like, I'm Aqua Dina. Dine. She's like, Ch. It's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. It's like, well, what do we do in this instance? She's like, Oya no Sotori, which is, I had to look this up, and it's like something to do with like either a game or gameplay or like a quiz show or something like that, where it's some rule that you call, I guess in this case, when nobody got the right answer. So maybe not the best joke to have tried to illustrate in this case, but here we see the girls are they're assaulted on every front here by these interesting enemy characters that show up, and really I think this would have made a good OAV. You could kind of argue either way for one or the other that this sort of digital comic experiment I think was really cool, and it's a very neat way to present this stuff, but I could have seen just as well this studio have made an animation out of this story and had it, maybe a short OAV series that's maybe 3 episodes long, 4 episodes long, something like that. Would have been a lot of fun. But here you can see one of the appliances that has come to life. It's called Kitchen King. This is your stove that has come to life, and you're trying to get it to make you something to eat. So here you can also see a character that had come to life earlier, like a table or something from your entryway that was defeated. But you also have this stuffed animal here, which is Great Gudumin, which is a kind of acts as the sage in this game. He's the wise character that you go to when you're in trouble, and he's like, are you even listening to what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, oh, that's pretty bad. He's like, Great Gurumin. He's like, well, don't be in such a rush. What, Kitchen King, huh? Well, here, I'll give you this. So we get this bag. He's like, what's this? This is a Will-O-Wisp bag. It's like inside of it are balls that glow like crazy, and it'll dispel the darkness. He's like, oh, okay. So So you have this really kind of fantasy story, sort of a hero journey adventure that you're going on. So you're constantly like collecting these items, and the girls actually have weapons that they have with them, and you upgrade the weapons as you go. So you actually get like, she's like, oh, thank you, and she got the turbo magical stick turbo, and it kind of just starts to get really Japanese here, and like the girls get transformation sequences. So now here Tsubasa is transforming into the magical girl. So let's take a sec here, we'll go through all the transformation sequences just so you can check them out. Yeah, this is great. Her weapon is actually a golf club that she has named, and this one is even better. It is a spatula that is also named. But obviously the girls are kind of falling into their character cliches. This is like the cooking girl, and the other one is the athlete, and then there's just the cute schoolgirl kind of character. So this game is interesting, and I think it's a very charming story, and I am happy that I've gone back and played the game again. I think it's one of those ones that I always just thought that there must be a little bit more to it, and I'd never really played that much. I just hadn't gotten very far. Back in the day, I would get to those 3-choice sequences, and I would not understand what they were, and I'd not understand what people were saying. At the time, I think I was one of those gamers who wanted games on this system, on the PC-FX, that were a little more accessible to people that didn't know any Japanese. The action games and the fighters and the shooters, and there's a couple of those games on this system that are very good, and they're popular with people who don't speak Japanese, because you can actually get somewhere in them. And I guess having more money than brains at the time, my friends and I went ahead and picked up this game because we didn't know any better, and it was a lot of text. But now that I can understand what's going on, it's really quite charming, and it takes a little while to warm up, but once it gets going, it really grows on you. One complaint I might have, though, is that since this game is very linear, and eventually it even just throws out the pretense of giving you any choices, you're just sitting there hitting the button a lot. And it does go on for quite a bit. It's a pretty long game. This is a game that I would have tried to just beat in a weekend, and it took me like a whole week pretty much to get through this game. Granted, I don't know that I was playing it every night, but maybe a good 3 days worth of playing through it. I don't know exactly how long that was, but it's pretty substantial. So that's about all that this game has to offer, I would say. As you go through, in kind of Dragon Ball style, you run into enemy after enemy, and your enemies kind of become your allies a bit as you go through, and you power up and you get stronger, and then you get to an ending, and it's kind of charming and cute and clever, and there's some good laughs, some little jokes to it. In fact, I would say some jokes that might be appreciated in particular by a Western audience. There are some musical references. The family owns a cat named Elvis. You noticed Prince showed up earlier in the beginning, so there's some neat stuff in this game. So I would recommend checking it out. I hope that this review has been helpful, and I hope that you'll consider giving this game a try if it looks like fun. Thanks for watching. Until next time.